All right, it's Epic Build Time. You remember Epic Meal Time? God, that's a YouTube show I miss so much. Anyway, I said I was gonna be doing a Epic water-cooled build in the Cooler Master Frame 360. And today, that's what we're gonna start. It ain't gonna be done today. You guys want more vloggy, like talk about it as you're doing it type videos. Well, when we do that, it takes a lot longer. So, I don't know what we're gonna get done today, but we'll get something done. Today's video is brought to you by our brand new GPU Apocalypse 2.0 shirt, kind of immortalizing all of the stuff you love about today's GPUs. Our GPU Apocalypse 1.0 shirt was actually one of our most famous and popular shirts, and now it's re-immortalized with GPU 2.0. But let's face it, the Apocalypse never went anywhere, it just evolved. Just like this shirt. Go buy it now. So I asked for this, it came, it's the Crosshair X870E Hero BTF. I got it because it's a BTF. And then it dawned on me, dang it, I still have to use the vertical riser in this particular case because it doesn't support standard mount. So I can't use a BTF card because I have, because it's not gonna BTF into the thing. But that's okay actually, because the Astral BTF card I have, I don't think will work with standard water blocks because I think that recess will be a problem. Like the block won't allow the adapter to even get in there. So that's okay. Let's talk about the parts that I got today from Performance PCs. They sponsored the water cooling stuff that you see here, minus the fittings. I already had the fittings. Yeah, this should be an interesting one. So the board, as I already showed, I'm gonna do this again because many of you guys haven't seen this, and I'm gonna get the board mounted in there too. BTF is pretty neat. Gosh, I mean, back in the day, every time I did a build, I had to request and send off like a design for custom cables, and it would take a couple weeks to get them and whatever. The whole idea of just, remove the cables entirely is a pretty neat function. This is actually the same board we have on our, sorry, I decided to rearrange my ankle. So I'm kind of walking like funny. Yeah, I think that is, yeah, that's the Dark Hero. Okay, that's Crosshair, different. All right, whatever. So anyway, as you can see here, that's where the connector for the graphics card would go. And then all the connectors are on the back, right? So all those connectors and they literally have to be on the, what is that? The perimeter of the board, line up with all these holes right there. So then all the cables go in the backside, which is really, really cool. And I like that because now it doesn't matter what cables I have, or they're just not gonna show, except for the 12 volt 2x6, which I'm gonna need for the graphics card. I guess while I'm at it, before I go into the water cooling stuff, I'll go ahead and put the CPU in here right now. I had to order a water block for it. Ordered an AlphaCool water block. That's if I can't find my Optimus. I have an Optimus block somewhere for AM5. Anyway, this is a gaming system. So of course, to be different from the meta, which everyone says, 9800X3D, I'm going 9850X3D. Ha, 50 better than your meta. I probably should have just waited till the 9950X3D 2 comes out, but $900 for that CPU. Phil, have you seen that price yet? $899.
It doesn't make sense, it's two X3Ds. It's 500.
Yeah, but it's not like the cache and the core die, and the frequency die didn't have value that you're negating. Yeah. I don't think it's literally $250 more to manufacture that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
But why make Lisa Sue less money when you can make her more money?
I thought AI was already making all the money for them. CPU's in there now, there's that. So I'm gonna set this back in the box. But because we're not using the 9850X3D in our test bench or anything like that, I can use it in this and not worry about it getting utilized. I'll be honest, I don't even know where this build's gonna go or what it's gonna do. I just wanna build it. So I don't really need to do anything with this build. Maybe I'll give it away, I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Moving on, these are the parts that were sent over by Performance PC that I requested. Gee, can you tell what theme I'm going with on the tubing? I'm going nickel-plated tubing. So it's brass tubing that's nickel-plated. And here's the thing, I've done nickel plating in the past. I did it with the original Nebula. And these tubes are from Bits Power right here. And I can tell you right now, they're already infinitely better than the AlphaCool ones. Ow! In the base of my skull, like behind my ear. If anyone's like, how did Jay roll his ankle? Yeah, apparently being alive. So, anyway, what I started to say is those were AlphaCool 13mm brass tubing that was nickel plated. I'll get one so Phil can get an insert and show you. The inside was like bare brass and was just grimy. Like it was ugly. This one It's nickel plated inside and out. So obviously with these being nickel plated on the inside, hopefully would mean less debris in the loop, because I was dealing with, like, for a while there, fluid color change with the tubing. And like, I don't know why it's orange on the inside, but that's just something to do with the process, and flushing this out is a complete pain in the ass. So the Bits Power tubing is way better. This is the reservoir I went with. I didn't want to do a distro plate of any sort in this one because there's nowhere for it to really go. This is Aqua Computer's Utilitube. Ultitube. It's cool though, because as you can see, it has a like a built-in flow meter and I think temperature sensor built into it. So that'll be neat. So I don't have to think of how to get one inline. It's also a glass tube, which means no staining and such. But it's also Aqua Computer, which means it's going to be very overbuilt, very German, and still uses Molex. That's about right. But this is, ooh, this sucker is heavy. So, oh, wait a minute here. I feel duped. That must be an extension piece. See, that shows a sensor in a thingy.
Yeah.
There isn't one. Wait. Bait and switch!
Wait. Yeah, look, even on the manual it has it. Wait, is it on the mount?
No.
No.
That, I believe, looks like it's an extra piece that's designed to slip over the D5 and fits right there. If you look at where it is on the picture, wait. Scope of delivery may differ. I would say that differed a little bit. Dang it, I thought the pictures had all that. Oh well. This is the bracket I actually needed right here, because this is like the back wall bracket, which allows me to mount it like this. Because I'm thinking that's exactly the right size I was hoping for.
Wow.
Because I kind of wanted to go right there.
That's good.
Like, I don't think it'll look as good back there. I think it'll look good right here. So that's where I was hoping for this to go. Board is gonna fit within the confines there. Water-cooled GPU is going to be shorter than that. So I'm a little concerned, if you wanna know the truth, about the length of the graphics card. This is the block right here. I might have to potentially make a bracket or something, 3D print something maybe that attaches to the bottom of the card to extend it to rest on this, because it's gonna be heavy. Fortunately, my Makera came, Makera, whatever. My first desktop CNC printer, or CNC is here. So now I can start making these brackets and things I really need. Even though I have no 3D modeling experience whatsoever, making brackets should be, I think, the easiest place to start. But anyway, there's that. That is the reservoir. These are just packs of 4 pre-bent 90-degree brass tube in nickel plated. Because you can get the brass tube in bare brass, you can get it in blue, red, black, you can get it in all kinds of colors, which is kind of neat. But I just wanted the nickel. It's been a long time since I've done a black and shiny like that, so I wanted to do that again. I wanted to try and utilize bends where I can, or these coupler fittings, which are just 14 millimeter in, 14 millimeter in, and I could use that to utilize bends if I needed. But as you can see here, they're just pre-bent 90s. So exact same tube, 14 millimeter outer diameter. So now if I wanted to get pretty bends or something in there, you know, that would be much nicer in my opinion than having the fittings, but I might still have to do fittings somewhere. What I don't have though are, because I'm not using the normal EK fittings like I would, just because I'm trying to be different, like I'm not boycotting EK. I like supporting the people that work there. Yeah, they had some management issues. Why punish the people that work there and design this stuff? Yeah, we can support them without liking their management, right? That's the thing I hate, and a little side rant here, is when people are like, I hope that company goes out of business. It's like, so you, because you are mad at the 2 or 3 people that ran the thing and did a terrible job, you want 500 people to lose their livelihoods. Like, that's fucked up. So I'm just saying. Anyway, here are the fittings. These are the hardline fittings from Corsair. I've had a bunch of these forever. They're 14 millimeter. They already fit in the tubing. So you can see I'm going chrome on chrome, which I think will be nice. I think the knurled really stands out more so than I would like, but I already had them and I didn't want to like just go crazy with the order. These are just different types of 90s. These are some T-fittings, which I'll need to figure out a drain. Here's my drain. First time I'm gonna ever use one of these in a loop. This is from Bits Power. This is actually a pressure relief fitting. So this is designed to actually allow the pressure to escape the system. So when I'm bleeding the system, if this is on the top of the reservoir, do we have multiple ports up there? We have no ports up there. This is about to get very interesting. How do I fill it? Does it literally just, okay, well, that's easy.
That's a pressure relief valve.
Don't need it now. Okay, well, I'm not gonna need that fitting. Normally what I would do is if it was a sealed reservoir like this, and I had fittings on the tube, or fitting provisions on the top, you could put one of these in there. As pressure builds up, sometimes it won't allow the air to get to the top as easy. So if you were to push that, it allows more movement. That's why these fittings exist. And then you can see I just got a bunch of different, like 90s, I got a bunch of 45s, I got the double couplers like I showed you. This is a Bits Power 5090 Astral block. What I kind of, look, it's even called Nebula, even though I'm not doing a Nebula. But it's like a nebulous throwback to the Nebula build. I've never had a block come vacuum sealed. What the fuck? It's so heavy. It's like I've done this before, Phil.
It's literally as close as it could be without reaching. That's funny.
Yeah, and there's no adjustment built into this. That's the biggest mistake that Cooler Master made with this.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to come up with something. But anyway, this is the block, Bits Power. I think it's pretty sick. It's heavy though. Holy cow. Let's break the seal and see what the color looks like here. I love this design though.
Ooh, it's got like speed lines. Nice.
They're racing lines. Let me show you a picture of the CPU block that I ordered from AlphaCool, which I think is gonna match that aesthetic. So that's the AlphaCool block I'm going with right there. Yeah, $134. But anyway, I think it's gonna look good with that like nickel edge that shows. It's got RGB that's underneath it. It's like you can look down underneath it, like it glows down. So anyway, I thought that would match this aesthetic really nicely. Oh, these have pre-applied thermal pads already on the backplate. Wow. Okay, anyway, sorry. I've never actually used a Bits Power block before. It wasn't cheap either. Thank you, Performance PCs. Look, if you guys are trying to come up with a custom water-cooled build or any sort of like PC modding or anything like that, do yourself a favor and check out Performance PCs. They have basically anything you could need for custom builds, water-cooled builds, XOC. They have been supporting this channel since like 2013 or 14. Like they are truly enthusiasts over there. They love what they do, and that's why it's just a no-brainer for me to be able to get this stuff from them. Where else can you find all of this under one roof? All right, the 4 rads. And I went with the Black Ice Nemesis 360 GTS X-Flow. Remember I said I was gonna go with crossflow? So I've got 4 crossflow rads right here. One of the very first things I need to do is get these on the brackets and make sure they fit, because although I got the 4 Corsairs to fit, does not mean every radiator will fit, because some radiators have more of a bulge on the side of the end tanks or the side tanks. But you see how it's got this extra like thickness right here? So I'm a little worried, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think these are gonna fit, because when I line them up in the center holes right there, the end tank goes way over more than halfway, and it's really hard to see, but I don't think these are gonna fit. That's how far off.
Oh no, wow.
Okay, well, I guess I can order 2 more of those 360 rads, the XR5s, because I know they're gonna work. Dang, that sucks. Okay, well, since I know I'm not gonna be using these crossflow rads, I'll use them in other builds in the future. Sorry, Hank. Thought for sure these were gonna fit based on my previous testing, but I forgot how much Hardware Labs likes to do this little overhang design. Time to go through all my radiators now and see if I have 4 matching rads. It's so weird to say. Normally it's just like I need to make 2 fit together, but. Okay, so fortunately I did have 4 Corsair rads that match. 2 of them are brand new, 2 of them have been used. You can see by the residue right there, so I'll clean that off. Which means I just might have to do some additional flushing before I can really call this loop ready to go. You should always flush the loop anyway. I don't always do that, but now you can see they fit, but we already established that last time. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the brackets mounted up on both of these. On one of them, the ports need to face up, and the other one, the ports need to face down. So, and then I need to figure this out because it's gonna get really tight. We're trying to figure out fittings and stuff in this, like especially down here. But I have an idea though, especially with this guy, because remember this just pulls off, right? My thoughts are, I guess I didn't need to take that off. I might have to utilize under here as like a loop to bring the tubing around to the other rad, like right here. So let's say for instance, I wanted to connect these two rads together, which I'm gonna have to do. I think I could just go boop like that with two fittings. Like that's why I have these 90s. My thoughts are, I would be able to just, I'll use these two because they have no covers. Just point these at each other, right? And then use my, whatchamacallit, use my compression fittings on there. And then when I'm putting it together before it goes on the bracket, put my tubing in there and then like, right? Then there's that. But I still will have to get this on the other side, like from back here to the front somehow. And I don't exactly know how I'm gonna do that. That's where it's gonna get creative. So that's part of what this whole process is. And that's why this is a little bit more of an involved type of build. In fact, since I know those are gonna go on the bottom, I might as well just leave this like this. And don't freak out that I'm not like rinsing out these rads or anything right now, because it's all gonna come back apart anyway at some point before I move forward. But I'll show you what I mean now is, what I'll do is I'll probably use a piece of PETG or something to get to the right size and then cut the metal tubing once. There, 35 millimeters. So that's now what I'm gonna cut a piece of PETG to see if it fully seats in there, and then I can mount the brackets. So I'll cut that tube now, put it in, and then we'll start mocking up. So it's in there, fully seated. Okay, so 35 millimeters is exactly that depth. Cool, I'll cut that in the metal real quick, deburr it, get that in there, and then the first piece. It's like the cornerstone. Okay, 35 millimeters. Son of a bitch. So cutting these tubes, you just use any regular metal pipe cutter. But this one actually belongs to my friend Matt. Those are his initials. I have one out there, just the first one I found in the cabinet because he let me borrow it, even though I guess he thinks his rigid's better than my Husky or whatever, but whatever. So what I'm trying not to do is go too tight per round because I don't want to squish the metal in on itself. This is pretty thin wall. Like if you look at how thin that wall is versus like this wall, right? So I don't want it to like push in and deform in any way, because I'm gonna have to deburr it no matter what. So I'm just doing like, look, I'm doing like maybe a 30 seconds of a turn every time. I'm just going around until it's no resistance. So it should cut through pretty easily though, because of the fact that it's thin wall. So I really don't have to go all nuts on this. But I find this to be the best method for another reason. The rollers you'll see leave some marks on there. And what I have found those marks actually do is rough up the metal just a little bit, which aesthetically is not good, but you won't see it past the collar because so much of it goes recessed, and that actually gives more bite for the O-ring to hang on to the tubing. So I found that really like a nice side feature on accident, because the slippery nickel can cause the tube to like, the O-ring to slide pretty easily, and you don't want that. So I was like, oh, that little rough, piece it's putting on there is actually kind of nice.
Yeah, I've seen you sanding the tips before to get that.
Yeah, I would like just take sandpaper and do it. So it's not as much, and it's only on one side, but they actually fit pretty tight right now. And the cool thing is like down there, they can't push apart because they're gonna be bracketed together. So I'm not too worried about that. Now you can really see what I mean about how smooth and shiny it is inside versus the other tube from AlphaCool. The AlphaCool tube is years and years old. They may have improved their process, I don't know. But because of that experience is why I went Bits Power on this one and not with AlphaCool again. Okay, so here's my piece.
Perfectly average sized piece.
Perfectly average piece. I didn't say here's my unit.
It's a huge piece, actually.
What I like to do is just to lube the hole a little bit. You don't want to push it in there dry. It could cause all kinds of problems. So you just gotta get it in there, lube up the ring and the rim right there. And then kind of rotate this as I'm pushing it in. And boom. Now I can take the O-ring, slide that over take the collar, slide that over. I don't want to lock it down yet. Just get it started. Take that collar, put it there. Take that O-ring, put it there. Now I can push them together. There, did you see it pop in? Tighten those opposing. Yeah, look at that. And then now I'm gonna put this bracket on there. Oops. Just to hold those together. And then now you can see, I need to put that in there now, make sure that clears everything on the bottom. That could potentially be a problem. All right, so we're gonna find out right here, right now, if this is gonna work, because I've got my, these are all intakes. I'm going all intakes, intake on the bottom, intake on the top. And I've been running all intakes in my builds for a while now. But what I need to see is if I even have enough room to be able to get the tubing that's gonna be on the backside to the front side. So, geez, that's chunky. Got the fans and everything in there. Let me get the case turned so you guys can see. I don't know if it makes more sense to have fittings up front or fittings in the back. We're gonna try and figure this out right now. I have more room in the bottom than I do the top. So if I can get the top to work, I'm pretty sure we can get the bottom to work. You know what, I can go ahead and do this now too. This was like the stupidest routing they ever did for something. Like, why would they do that? See, all I did now, doesn't that look better?
Yeah.
They had it routing like that, like why? Okay, fittings in the back. Oops. This is a bit of space. Okay, I think, so I don't know if you can see, Phil, where the wires are right here. I think if I were to kind of reroute these and push these maybe more out of the way, then I'll have enough fitting, like clearance right there. I think if I just deal with these wires right here and maybe just bundle them together and get them more out of the way, like back here, and maybe down through this, that goes into the same chamber, then I'll have more space right there. Oh yeah, there's all kinds of room there. Yay! Okay, cool. That works pretty well. I like that. I like that a lot. Technically too, if I wanted, I could bring a tube up through here, but the reservoir is gonna be mounted to that plate. I've got a fitting right there that can come down technically to there. So it could go out of there and through the rads, and then I'll figure out how to get, that's the part that's gonna suck, is getting from that half of the case to this half of the case. But as you can see, wrong tube, there is more than enough room to do it. This is gonna be really complicated. I've never had to think in a 3D space like this.
I was about to ask you, like, I wonder if the flow would allow you to do a run on the backside down from one rad to the other, so that way you don't have to worry about getting this.
I was just gonna say I could do that on either side, front or back. So yeah, that might, actually, yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. So what'll happen here is we'll have, because they're on the exact same plane.
And if you mount them to the same hole,
no,
they should line up.
I would have to use an offset of some sort, and I don't have one. I might have to order some, because, let me get this out of the way. It hits right here. So unless I clearance that, notch that, which I could do, and I had to do it down here too, these are in the way. Otherwise I'd be able to just have one tube, like you said, just running straight down to the other rad. So I'll have to take this back out for like the third time. I took this out off camera before my lunch got here. I actually figured out if I use 245s and then this, I think it's a 10 mil extension piece, it actually makes it line up perfectly with the little cubby right there. I can still use the cover, there's no modification to it. This is a 13 mil tube, so it's gonna fit inside of it. But now it gives you an idea of how aesthetically pleasing that'll be going straight down to the lower rad. So literally, it's just gonna be connected with that metal tube. It's gonna look so good. But now I need to take the rad back out because I need to flip this cable around, which is the IQ cable. I like to use IQ for stuff like this. It's just a one cable connection for the fans. It has nothing to do with brand loyalty or anything like that. I don't even think they're the most aesthetically pleasing fans, but this is gonna allow a lot of light in here too. So I need to flip that around so it goes inside and then can go straight down behind that cover, and then that'll be stealthed in. And then literally, because this is a BTF motherboard, you'll see the power supply fan right here. You won't see any wiring or nothing back here. Everything will be hidden under these covers. So this will be super aesthetically pleasing. And the light is going to create some light in this area. So you will see this glow. Like you will see this reflect that light because it's nickel. But that's gonna look really, really good. Phil and I had the same idea at the same time because I was looking at that and Phil was like, what if you were to do a pipe that goes straight down? And there it is. So it just sucks for one reason. I cannot get that cover off or access anything without draining the loop. That's the downside. So that is everything that will be visible, but indivisible for liberty and justice for all. So that's everything that will be visible. I guess. That's all you can see on the backside. Okay, so I got the 2 bottom rads in there. They're mounted in there right now. They line up perfectly, and check it out. I've already cut the tube down to length. I used the same piece of the PET, or that's acrylic actually. I know PETG is acrylic, but that's PMMA.
That's acrylic. PMMA is also acrylic. Slightly different formula of acrylic. So anyway.
Here it is right here. I've got the same exact mirror of that on the bottom. Now, I had said, oh man, that sucks because now I can't access that panel. And then I realized the Bob Ross happy little accident where these are on rotaries. So I can just rotary that out of the way, as Phil calls the service position. And then I can still access this now without being like, oh crap, I can't get to the stuff because now I can push that back out of the way. Boom. Nice. Now I can get to all the wiring and stuff that's in here. So that was actually not by design. That was literally an accident. I had to order a couple more fans. I was short. I needed 6 for the bottom. I only have 4 over there. So that I'll be able to get that wired up. But yeah, this is actually going very, very easily. I thought this was gonna be harder, honestly. I mean, I'm sad that the crossflow doesn't fit, but here's the thing. If I had done the crossflow, I wouldn't have had that option. Because remember how they were diagonal from each other. So they wouldn't have been a fitting on straight down. Actually, there might have been, because it would have been, whatever, it doesn't matter. This is how it turned out, and I'm really happy with this. So I'll demonstrate putting the little panel back in. So I have to line it up. I have to line it up with it in aesthetic position, because if I don't, I can't, there's like little tabs. See how those sort of stick out? So little locator tabs have to locate into there. And they're right where the collar goes for my compression fittings. So if I get those, see, it's so easy. Push those back out of the, it's so easy and intuitive. Even a baby could do it. I'm just happy now knowing I'm not stuck. Let's say if something came unplugged or I've got to add something to the BTF or whatever, for whatever reason I might have to access the wiring, now I'm not like locked out of it. But I really like the way that turned out. I mean, because the back glass is so smoked, you're probably not even gonna see it, but I know it's there, and that's what makes me happy. So now if we flip around to the front side, I shall show you the top, because you haven't seen that directly yet. So there's the top fittings right there. I still have to do that same junction on the bottom rads, right? I'm gonna wait till I have the fans to do that. I've got the wiring going through its normal hole, so there's plenty of room right there. And then everything's mounted down. And if I go ahead and look at the front side, now all my fittings that I need access to are on this side of the PC. So I'm happy with that. Now loop order, this is about the time I would start thinking loop order. This fitting right here and this fitting are the two that I have to think about. Reservoir here, maybe somehow out to the CPU, from CPU to GPU, and then from GPU to here. And then that will just flow through, go up, flow through, down, back into the reservoir. So that'll go reservoir, CPU, CPU, GPU, GPU to here. That'll complete the loop. I have to see what the neatest order is gonna be for that though. Vertical mounting a GPU right here, and then having the CPU right there poses a challenge. Having it that close together makes it very hard to get everything in there and looking neat and orderly. So we're just gonna have to, since I have tubing that I can't bend, right? This is already plated, I can't bend. If I was to bend it now, I would just flake all the plating off. Nor do I have the proper mandrel bending stuff for brass tubing. Like this has to be filled with sand or something like that to bend it to have it not crush. A rubber mandrel ain't gonna do it when it comes to brass. So I think we're gonna be able to get that done pretty nicely. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and throw the motherboard in here and then we'll get out of here for today. Didn't seem like we got much done, but I overcame what I thought was going to be the biggest challenge in this build, which is like, how am I gonna get 2 side-by-side radiators plumbed up like this? Don't forget, the original Nebula had 2 420mm radiators side-by-side on top, but only on top. There were no bottom rads. So this kind of like compounded that complication of trying to see how I was gonna get everything sort of connected together, and having everything on this side for plumbing reasons was obviously going to be the biggest benefit. And I'm glad that we achieved that. So I'll have the connector right here, right? Connect that fitting to these two. I have to Vulcan this to live long and prosper, as you guys can see. But anyway, connecting these two right there, so you'll be able to see that junction just like up there. So I think it'll be nice. And it's gonna have a really nice symmetry aspect to it. Initially, I had thought about, instead of connecting those in the back like that, having the tube come down right here where you could see it, but then that puts all the tubes on the back side, which is completely counterintuitive to what I need. And then if I go ahead and hold this guy up in there, yeah, it's gonna look real nice. There's gonna be plenty of room on top for me to take that cap off and be able to fill the tube, the reservoir up. Yeah, so in is on the right, which is perfect because that would technically be coming in from here. That's a lot easier to get to than having these cross over if that was in and that was out. And I think that makes sense because I think with most cases being arranged as a right-hand case, the out should be on the left because it would be facing the motherboard side. So that makes a lot more sense. But we need to throw the motherboard in here real quick just to see what that's gonna look like so we can get some semblance of something happened today. Because right now I'm not feeling like much happened because you can't really see it, but trust me, a big challenge was overcome today. All right, so the motherboard's in there. It may look scratched. I left the plastic on. It's wobbly because the tables are uneven, but that's fine. I want to hold this up there now and see what this is gonna look like. That's gonna look pretty good. I think it's gonna look real good, holy cow. All right, well, that's where we're gonna stop today. Tomorrow I should be getting the CPU block, I think it's tomorrow, CPU block and then the lower fans. And that should be all I need to be able to continue going forward. I haven't put any RAM in this or anything yet, honestly. Obviously, I haven't put any storage, but that's all easy stuff later. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Once again, a huge thanks to Performance PCs for sponsoring the water cooling components, most of them for this build. Check them out in the link in the description below. And yeah, tell me what you guys think. I think when I talked to Cooler Master about this case, like water cooling was not something they had in mind. It was just designed to be like, hey, let's break the mold. Let's like dual chamber it, but not really dual chamber it. Let's give options for like the screen in the front. Let's give a place for people to put a figurine and shine some light and stuff on it. And I went, hey, I see an opportunity here with 4 360s in a mid tower. That's pretty insane. And obviously you can see the Corsair radiators. Those are the XR5 non-V2s. The V2s just changed the placement of the fittings because they realized that where they had the fittings and where the plug goes for the link interfere. So they actually touch the fittings real bad. And if you use too big of a fitting, you can't even get it on. So they moved the fittings inward real close together. That way the plug is clear on the sides. That's the only difference between the V2 and the V1 really. But anyways, there you go. I think it's looking pretty awesome so far. Well, you guys might be like, you didn't get a whole lot done today, but this is the difference between showing you guys the process versus showing you guys the product. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Like, we got a lot of thinking done. That's the important part.
I got the hardest part done, in my opinion, which was the radiator layout.